Well, this is Oregon Football Tailgate Talk. That's T-Rod. I'm Chef Marc. We've worked through a couple technical difficulties about the last 10 minutes or so, but here we are. We're live. And I'm stoked to be here, man. How are you, T-Rod?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Yeah. Things are pretty busy right now and fixing to get a little bit busier as far as, the business goes, and real close to wrapping up a house that we're doing right now. Nice. Yeah, we're at the tail end of that and got a couple of projects on the, in the works. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that.
Cool. Yeah, and work for me right now is it's ramping up. The weather's changing. Spring break's happening. People are going on vacation, using their toys, having a good time, which is awesome. Great to hear. The weather today out here in Central Oregon has been top notch. Earlier today, I checked the thermometer over my left shoulder here. It says 75 degrees. I was sitting out here to wrap up my day on the computer. Perfect shade on this back deck. This time last year, we were starting this house project here, and we ended up putting a nice deck in. And Chef Marc now has an outdoor kitchen, and there's a bar and the outdoor TV out here. And we've been loving it, and we can't wait for the warm weather. So this is a wonderful way to kick it off here. The first Oregon Football Tailgate Talk this spring of 2026. As spring equinox was last Friday, so we're a week into spring. The pollen is out, and here we go. And before we get too far, we need to give a shout out to our sponsor. I'm going to kick it over to T-Rod to tell you about our sponsor.
Yeah, let's go. Size Pizza, right down there, 1211 Alder Street. Go see Josh and the people down there. They do a fabulous job. We always get the double pepperoni during football season. 541-686-9598 is the number. Size NewYorkPizza.com. Give them a call ahead of time. Order online ahead of time. Go down and pick it up. There is that construction down there. So, keep mindful of that. But you know what? Get on down there, check it out, and they will take care of you.
All right. Right on. I'm glad my mom made it into this.
Hello, Karen.
Feed. It's good to see you, Mom. And I hope you've had a wonderful day out there in Western Washington.
Well, we'll see Karen in about a month now.
A month. Literally a month from today, we will have set up the tailgate. We will be over at PK Park watching the Ducks take on the Nittany Lions in baseball. What a great time just to get together. And just give a little bit of background about how we met and just like how this show evolved into what it is it really culminated at our inaugural Spring Game Tailgate, right?
Yeah, you know what? It's I mean, this will be what, the fourth now or fifth? Something like that. Yeah.
A handful, man.
I mean, we just you know what? I mean, just organic, right? I mean, meeting through the spaces or whatever. Our love of the Ducks, realizing that we tailgate in the same lot over there at the Masonic, and just putting it together, man, bringing our peeps together. And we got a great group of people, right? We just a great group in general. Everybody that we brought in has just really meshed. It's been great, and it's just 2026, man. I'm excited for it all. Bring it all.
Absolutely. And I just remember that first time that we met in person. During the coaches search, we had the Oregon Twitter spaces going on. There's still spaces going on Twitter. And there was a group of people that were just continuing day in, day out, night, day, etc. Just develop that relationship, that bond, friendship. And we had the opportunities hey, let's coordinate a tailgate. And we had about 35, 40 people show up, and it was a great time right there in the
to kick it off.
Exactly. And it was so for me, that moment, what was so fascinating is, and it's pretty rare in this day and age, you generally meet someone face to face, you conversate, etc. but to meet someone in like or a group of people really that is unique is the group of people via the internet where you're talking day in, day out. You start to recognize the voice, you recognize the personalities, get to know the people just beyond just being like just fans of the Oregon football program. And then you show up and you hear the voice and you're like, oh, that's T-Rod. Oh, that's, like you recognize those.
Yeah. And that's, and that's the thing, man. It's, when people ask how you and I met, I just tell them we met online.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Pause.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, Mom, this will be Dan Lanning's 5th year, 22, 23, 24, 25, 2026 is his 5th season as the Oregon football head coach. And let's get into it a little bit. We have a little bit of a.
What's up, Crimson Soul? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate that.
Crimson Soul, is that Crimson being there's a variety of college football teams that have Crimson, whether that's the Washington State Cougars or the Crimson Tide. Yeah. Welcome.
I'm thinking Crimson Tide, but
have a good time. So, we have 2 spring practices under our belt. The Oregon football program does. There were some, obviously Dan Lanning had his press conference. They also had press conferences with Drew Maringer, the new offensive coordinator, as well as Chris Hampton, the defensive coordinator, the new defensive coordinator. So we have 2 new coordinators this year. One off, obviously, the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. And my thoughts on how you're feeling about these 2 new coordinators within our program as we lead into the spring and these practices, etc. Did you have an opportunity to watch any of their interviews?
I watched some clips of it. I don't go to the lab too much and get in all that hype, as far as the off season goes. But these 2 guys, they didn't sound much different than they have ever sounded in any other interview that we've heard.
Yeah.
I think for me going into this, once the choices were made that these were going to be the guys, first of all, I was excited.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's enough credit given, and I could be totally way off base here, right? But I don't think there's enough credit given to Dan Lanning and the fact and how he allows and promotes the job descriptions within his staff, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not like these 2 guys didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think that they were a more intricate part of this staff than people even know.
Right.
So I think it was a natural fit for them to slide in there.
Yep.
I like the idea that, for me, when you have a staff like that and you hire from within like that, and these guys that have this much knowledge, they also have the opportunity to operate in the what not to do world.
Right.
Right. And take what is, what they've learned best, and then also what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited to see a different offense,
right,
in some facets.
Yeah.
There was, some talk about, is Maringer going to go up top into the booth? Is he not? Is he going to be down on the field? I don't mind either way. For me, I'd almost rather see him up in the booth because you just get that perspective.
Right.
But I'm also a competitor. And as a coach, you want to be down there in the thick of it as well. So whatever they decide to do, if you're down on the field, your eyes up in the booth better, be feeding you great information. So yeah. I'm just excited about it either way. There's so much talent coming in. Just the glimpses from some of the videos that we've seen, some of the YouTube interviews that we've seen. And even more so, I almost like the way that these younger kids, these freshmen, don't sound like freshmen.
Right.
The type of kids that this staff is getting, I'm really digging on it right now, and I'm excited to see their growth, now that they're into Coach Love's strength and conditioning program,
Yeah.
right? And what is that going to look like? Come fall camp. And they've been here.
Well, and that's so true. Like even last year, there was like a handful of true freshmen that played significant snaps, whether it's in the running back room or the defensive back room. But quite a few freshmen that actually played, and they hadn't really done a whole entire offseason through Coach Love's strength and conditioning program. Now there's some early enrollees, some like spring enrollees that played, and to see him go through that this year, I think you're right. Like I saw some photos of different players, and you're like, okay, you can tell that kid's changed his body structure.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you're seeing a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
And that just comes with age, and it also comes with the time in which they put inside that strength and conditioning room with Coach Love. And I just want to share my takes on Drew Barringer. I'll start with him. I did watch his interview. He's poised behind the camera. He has called plays before, so at other programs in which he understands when and where to call those plays. So it's been a few years removed in which since he's been like offensive coordinator. And he come out of that tight end room, and look what he's done year in, year out, putting guys into the NFL. And not only that, but also developing that room into what it is today. Jamari Johnson, Kendra Harrison, and the like. And so I'm really excited to see that tight end room, but also like just to see what his flavor of what Dan expects as far as his offense. I think there's what I've noticed between whether it's be Kenny or Will is there's similarities, and those similarities I think are driven by coach's influence into the offense and what he wants and what he wants to challenge other teams' defenses from a offensive schematic standpoint. Now, I'm not a nerd. I'm not a football nerd. I'm a football fan, through and through. I love football. I'll watch it, like 24/7 if I could. If I could get paid to do it, that'd be freaking awesome. But but hey, we're
the thing is
fans at this point,
even
right?
if we get paid to watch it, we're still just watching it.
Exactly.
The lab work, I'll leave that to other people.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, we go by what our eyes tell us and our hearts feel.
Yeah, this is literally. I jot down some notes over a cup of coffee. I throw together a little agenda for our podcast. I send it to T-Rod, a screenshot to T-Rod, and I jot down some notes. That's basically it. But what I like to hear about from Drew Barringer is that like his philosophy and his ability to get the ball, like really the focus is to get the ball to the playmakers, allow the offense to like really just like dictate what the defense is going to have to do, and then take some shots, man. And I had that question of like, is he going to be in the booth or on the field? I think there's some comfort there. He's been in the booth all throughout Dan's tenure here at Oregon, so this is his 5th year. That's the perspective that he's. It seems like he's most comfortable in, and so I would suspect that he's going to stay there. But you never know. Like they may change that up. And the nice thing is they have a wide receiver coach and they have a running back coach, Coach Samp, and now I'm blanking on the wide receiver coach's name, but Douglas, there you go. And then Coach Terry on the sideline, and to get those guys right on the offensive side of the ball. So that would be kind of neat to see. Now, defensively, Hampton's defense, I think he's going to be a little bit more aggressive. He's going to a little bit more free flowing than what we saw with Tosh. And I'm not sure. Like it would be interesting to see. I wanted to see like this is the first time we've seen a defensive coordinator switch under Lanning. Obviously, Tosh took the head coaching job at Cal. So now with Hampton, he's been in the program since 2023. So he's been around. And he knows the program. He knows the defensive back room. Those are his guys. Those are his guys that he's recruited, developed, and put on the field and played. And so it'll be interesting to see what he ends up doing with that front seven, because I have full confidence in the DB room. So
well, I mean, listen, if you're gonna get your first job as a DC at Oregon, and you were gonna, get a chance to hand pick your top 4 up front,
right,
to lead your defensive line, your defensive team into battle. I mean, so from that perspective, there is no reason for him not to shine. I like the idea of the free flowing thing, of maybe a little bit more attack oriented, maybe a little bit more aggressive. Maybe, is that taking more risk or calculated risks? Whatever that looks like, you have a front 4 with a nice little rotation in there that has the capability. Yes, we lost some of that rotation to the transfer portal, and I get it, but there was a reason why.
Yep.
Right. But these guys are going to be, I mean, you want to talk about excited for a defensive front since maybe Haloti, right?
Yeah.
And Igor Olshansky and these guys, right? They're like the biggest of the bigs coming in ever.
Right.
This is probably, again, and you and I have talked about this a lot, with the anticipation of what this season could bring.
Right.
Right. There's so many things to talk about for that, and real quick, you were talking about, Maringer, talking about, wanting to get the ball to the playmakers and this and that. So here's the question I have for that is, when Stein was hired, all we heard was feed the studs.
Yep.
We're just going to feed the studs. My question is did he effectively? Right. And yes, he did, but effectively in the sense that I just didn't feel like that there was a consistency there all the time to get it to the guys that you knew that had a hot hand, or he would go away from that. It seemed like,
right,
this is just what my eyes tell me.
Yep.
Right. But in the sense that there's going to be an embarrassment of riches to try to feed this one ball to.
Yeah.
And you're going to possibly have the best quarterback in the country, with that power in his hand.
Right.
Right. Comes great responsibility.
Yep.
Right. So what does that look like? And how do there's going to be so many studs.
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to be interesting to see how this plays out that way. Again, if you're coming in as an OC,
yep,
there's just so much on each side of the ball that these guys are going to have, that's why there is so much expectation to this season.
Absolutely. You hit on some really good points there, and I'm excited to see how this develops. And that's part of why, to me, spring ball is so important. And the fan involvement, it's now college football is a year-round sport, right? From the actual playing of the game to the actual recruiting of the players to the spring practices, and then more recruiting and in between, and then it just kicks up. That time between the spring ball, when we have the spring game, and when fall practice or fall camp opens, those coaches are hitting the road. Those coaches are going the teams practicing and doing reps on their own. They're built. There's those team building activities, and so it's really a year-round sport. It's a year-round deal, and that's why I couldn't not have the Oregon Football Tailgate Talk continue on what we're doing throughout the year here at the Oregon Football Tailgate Talk. We thank you for joining and watching us. And we're not only just about, just like the tailgate, but we're also about the spring sports. But before we get into it, let's talk about a little bit about the tailgate, because this segment is called Just the Tailgate Tips with T-Rod.
Yeah, and so, it's been a bit. So the last time we talked about the tailgate tips, we're going to start getting into the tools, the things that you should have that allow you to enjoy in all sorts of weather, cold, hot, rain, sunshine, whatever, right? So what we're talking about is, what is the right type of material that you want for your quick shade, your pop-up, for all weather, right?
I love it.
You're going to have a 400, I think it's, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's spelled Denier, denier cloth, I believe.
Okay.
Right? You're going to have your 230s, your 260s, right? The lower the number, the more porous that is, right? You want to start looking for that 600. That 600 starts to get you into the waterproofing.
Yeah.
The waterproof, not water resistant.
Yeah.
Water resistance going to get saturated, start to drip. We know how this works.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that's what you want to look for. That's the tailgate tip today. It is going to cost you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right. But you can go to ABC Canopy, not a sponsor. You go to Quick Shade, not a sponsor. None of these are sponsors, but if you're looking for that all weather, all shade that is going to last a while.
Yeah.
Right. Be prepared to spend $250 to $280 for a 10 by 10, more of a commercial grade. But that 600 denier cloth is what's going to get you into that waterproofing, not water resistant. So that is T-Rod's tailgate tip of the day.
That's a solid tip. And the reason I say that is like, more so than anything, like, you really don't know, like, I pay attention to the weather. I don't really talk about the weather until like 36 hours before the actual game, right? Because it changes. It's a variable. Like, we live in on the West Coast. These storms change. The jet flows, the systems come in, the mountains and the coastal range may change things. There could be an inclement like fog bank that sets into the Willamette Valley. All this different all this different stuff. It may look like it's sunny and blue skies, or there's no clouds or whatever, but then that fog sets in and the frost and the dew and everything else. But like, I grew up skiing and snowboarding, and having the right gear was so important, because there's nothing worse than being wet and soaked on the mountain, whether it's being, cold, wet feet, cold, wet jacket or whatever. But when I think about that, I think you did a good job of describing it. It's like, starting at about 400, you really kind of get that water resistant, waterproofing like type thing. But like, really in that 600, what you're looking at is how the threads kind of like bond together as far as the count between square feet and
you want it to run off, right? And if you don't want to pay that 200, 250 to 300, well, you know what? Get the cheaper one. Get yourself a little clear 4 mil Visqueen.
Right.
And outfit your quick shade, your pop-up with that. Get it to fit. Now you're just clipping and going, and it's just sitting there, and it's just, plus, that thicker cloth and or the Visqueen over the top, properly fitted, custom fitted to your size, also helps keep that heat trapped when it's cold outside and you got the heats going underneath. So
exactly. Yeah. And that worked out quite well at the end of last season, where we had some temps, and you get those, those fire pits going and heaters.
Oh
man. And man, it gets nice and cozy inside there, which is like part of the fun which we have at the Big Oregon Tailgate, is like that post game hangout. Some fond memories, some good stories about that. Speaking of some good stories, I'm just taking a look here on my computer, and we have currently, we're going to talk a little Diamond Sports in our next segment. We have the women's softball team playing Northwestern tonight. They're up 4-0. They actually just won. Final back in.
That's a good get back right there.
Yeah, back in Illinois, they just beat Northwestern 4-0. So it was good. They bounced back from last night's They don't have too many of those.
Getting run ruled last night.
Yeah, that doesn't quite happen.
It kind of happens, right? I mean,
doesn't really happen that often with this team. On the season right now, they're sitting at so 25-9. So they have 9 losses on the season, 25 wins, 5th in the Big Ten, 18th nationally.
Well, I mean, I think we would be. I did go to the lab for like 2 minutes.
Okay, let's go.
And what I went to the lab for was, with that win today, I believe they are 17-3 since February 25th, which was the Wisconsin game. So listen.
There we go.
Elon, we had the pleasure of meeting Elon and Riley McCoy, right? Yep. At the game, the Wisconsin game.
Exactly.
What a great, first of all, shout out to them as young women who are they were just kind, just nice, right? Hey, you want a t-shirt? Well, yeah, I'd love a t-shirt. But listen, the impact that Oregon Football Tailgate Talk has had on Elon's back since she spoke with us, since we interacted.
Exactly. We had a good conversation. So nice. Yeah.
I mean, listen, anybody else needs to get that hot bat or whatever. Listen, we'll meet you over at Matt Night.
Yep.
At some whatever basketball. We'll meet you over at PK at the baseball game. We'll interact with you. We'll get you some of that, Oregon Football Tailgate Talk, inspiration going, and then watch you go heat it up. But yeah, since then, I mean, she's what is she batting .420 on the year?
Yeah,
it's 100 at bats, So yeah, I was looking at a few things, 10 home runs, but she has, what is it, 43 runs off of like 45 hits or something like that. I don't know, but either way, man, I think you and I, deservedly so, will take some of the credit for that. And I think we're okay to do that. And the other thing I wanted to mention too about that night is, I just wanted to give a shout out to Ryan Winter, Sports Chat 503. We had the opportunity to meet Darby, Winter Photos at Darby Winter Photos that night. What a really approachable kid. It was nice to meet him that night. I appreciate him taking a moment to just kind of chat with me. Get to know me a little bit. And so I really appreciate that about him. So you know what, guys? Look up at Darby Winter Photos. He does a great job, takes great pictures, sells them online. Pictures,
right.
Photo, big, small, all sorts throughout the whole season. So you know what? Yeah, again, I just wanted to thank Darby for taking a moment. Very approachable, nice guy. So if you see Darby out there, just walk up, give him a handshake, introduce yourself to him, tell him what a great job he's doing. So yeah, really appreciate it. And also, he is the son of Ryan Winter at Sports Chat 503. So shout out to you, Ryan. You raised a good one there, my man.
Absolutely. And you can hear me still?
Yeah, you're good.
What I want to say about that is that, like going back to the Elon Butler thing in that Wisconsin game, it was not only just like a great time with you and Matt and Polar Bear, but the interaction that we had there at that game was something that I'll always hold on to. But then to meet Elon, who was a transfer from Cal, that was attending a basketball game in which the women's softball team was recognized, and they were throwing out T-shirts, the Jerry's T-shirts, and Jerry's Home Improvement, not a sponsor, but they're throwing out those T-shirts, and then just seeing all the support that they had from other the football team, etc.
Yeah,
and So
and Riley was fantastic as well. Yeah. I mean, they were just very kind. Yeah, just very kind and nice to talk to. So just really appreciated taking a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to see and to meet them, and then to kind of just be like, hey, we're fans of Oregon. I'm an alumni of Oregon. To start watching them a little bit closer. And then all of a sudden it's just like Elon Butler just hitting 3 grand slams on the season, just knocking a run to every single game. Yeah. And it's like, the thing is tonight she got her 200th collegiate hit. 200 hits. That's quite impressive. And it's good to see those women women's softball team really just ball out. No pun intended, but actually, they're fun to watch. I had it on the TV earlier Could have been the issue. Could have been the reason why we were having some streaming issues earlier, because I had it also on the computer here because I wanted to know the score. Uh, let's switch over to the men's side of things. The baseball team currently right now are 21-4, fourth in the Big Ten and 20th nationally. When we started this podcast tonight, the score was 0-0. It's now 1-0. Oregon's up on UCSB, UC Santa Barbara. They're playing down there in Southern California. I wouldn't mind being in Santa Barbara right now. I'm sure the
Oh
weather's
man, and
nice.
they just
it's
finished up
gorgeous.
that sweep of UC San Diego or whatever
Exactly.
it was, right?
Yep.
And it's interesting the similarities, at least from a fan perspective, just kind of, whether it's looking at highlights, watching the snippets of games here or there, or, the similarities between with these two teams and the way they can get after you.
Yeah.
And multiple players through the lineup with the ability to go yard
Yeah.
it makes it fun. The
Absolutely.
anticipation at any point in time. So
Exactly.
it'll be interesting to see how this carries them through the season. Obviously, there's going to be postseason aspirations. I would really like to know. I don't. I mean, I don't have a grip on any sort of ranking systems whatsoever. I mean, especially in football, it's just crazy.
Exactly.
But when it comes to softball and baseball, I mean, it's interesting. I feel like the women are better than an 18 team in the country, but I also feel like the men are better than 20. So I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah,
And
no,
so
yeah, you make a great point about like the ranking system. Like baseball, I think there's like five pools, like
yeah,
polls. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm like 16 here. I'm like I'm ranked here. I'm not ranked here. Oregon State's ranked here.
yeah,
Oregon's not ranked here. Like it's funny.
yeah.
It's like in the end, it's about playing the game.
That's it,
It's
man. And that's why the World
and
Series matters, right? That's why the
exactly,
regionals matter. And that's why,
exactly. Super regionals,
positioning
yeah.
yourself best for those regional matchups. Again, I think there's definitely those postseason aspirations for both of these teams. And it'll be fun to watch them
Yeah.
get at it.
I do have to give a shout out to one of the Oregon baseball players, Drew Smith. He is top 6 in 6 different statistical categories within the Big Ten right now. He is first in batting average, first in slugging, first in OPS, second in on base percentage, second in RBIs, and sixth in home runs. I have to give a shout out to him because that is an impressive stat line. If he's not running for Big Ten Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, as far as how they award that. Definitely a first teamer at this point in the season. Now we're not even into April, so
Yeah.
that's the thing about college baseball is they start early. They start in February, March, April, May, and then that tournament kind of hits at the end of May, and we go into that college baseball World Series tournament, which is, I think it's one of the like. I love the NCAA tournament. I would have it on. I'd be watching it. Matt sent me a text. He's normally in here watching us, joining us. But he said, "Hey, dude, bro, like there's NCAA tournament on right now." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I can't blame you on that." But like, nonetheless, the baseball tournament is one of the funnest events out there. And if you're not a fan of college baseball, give it a shot. Take a look, watch those players play, and the crowd and the atmospheres are some of the best. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, and you
amazing
know
what can
what?
happen over the
Matt's having trouble pulling away from his, what is he, 12 screens an hour, whatever he's got there.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
ridiculous. Yeah, he's pretty
I
much.
see
Yeah,
Eric. What's up, Eric?
yeah,
Right
yeah.
here. Eric, that's Eric right there. Gave me that picture right there.
Eric does some great photography, and in
Yeah,
fact, he
that
sent
one right
us
there.
in our group chat.
You know what? Also, I want to give a shout out to Kelly Graves and the Oregon women's basketball team.
Oh yes.
I mean, we gotta give a shout out to them for just exceeding expectations. I mean, above and beyond.
Yeah.
Right. And actually getting to the dance, getting that victory, right. Being able to just kind of smell what that is, what, you know,
Yeah.
what's that gym, what's that smell, you know, and being able to get there and have that experience, and be able to look at what is a bright future, I think, for this team, if he can hold on to the pieces, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it just seems like with
Well,
basketball, it's always about holding on to the pieces. And
and the thing is like when you look at that squad and you look at what's coming in as far as the talent, there were some players that weren't eligible to actually play this year that were on the squad. They're practicing. There's some recruits coming in, but like the core of their actual team is eligible to come back. So I think there's that taste, that flavor that like, hey, we experienced the postseason. We got through that, that first game. We ran into the juggernaut not of Texas at Texas. It
well,
wasn't
I mean, geez,
yeah, it wasn't the game that in which they would want to end their season on. So there's that taste in your mouth that like there's unfinished business, and Lanning has used that as a motivator before, right?
absolutely.
And so it will be interesting to see what Kelly Graves and his coaching staff does to use it as a motivator to bring these women back to the
Shout out to
programming.
Sherwood Ducky.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
go.
there we go,
Yeah,
Mike.
no,
What's up?
I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. And the men's basketball team, listen, onward and upward.
Yep, yep.
The-
Yeah, which actually segues into this next topic here. The NCAA tournament, we were talking, Matt, obviously he thinks that it's more there he is. Matt Wins has arrived. Matt, you'll have to tell us who won this evening. I've personally, I wanted Michigan to win the game and Duke to win the game. Matt Wins is actually in first place as of earlier today. Or was it Iverson? I'm not sure. Like, nonetheless, it was like it was getting hot up there at the top. Um,
I changed my name to It's Been Fun. So, I mean, but hey, I'm still lingering somewhere up there. And so,
yeah,
yeah, we just need Arizona to lose, which doesn't look likely.
yeah,
And then, but yeah, I mean, I was watching that Michigan Alabama game before I came in. Man, those guys they were up and down that court. They were going. They
yeah,
were going. I
yeah,
just don't see Alabama being able to continue to shoot the rock like that.
yeah, yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, and it'll be interesting.
God dang.
The thing about the NCAA tournament that I love is that doing the bracket, like it's really kind of crapshoot. It's like it doesn't really take any skill, or even it's just sometimes it's just luck, right? It's just
Oh
like, hey,
yeah.
you got this team, that team, etc. Eric, somebody has to be last. Somebody has to do it. But we, as a fan group, the Big Oregon Tailgate, it's Twitter Spaces, Oregon Twitter Spaces, etc. We have this like bracket that we've done
Oh,
for many
Skip.
years in a row, and it's just great to do it. And then you get a little bit of that smack talk, like
Oh man.
something, like
Oh yeah.
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 And the fact is Matt wins. Like, yeah, first year Matt wins.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
didn't win.
the consistency with Matt Wins, that's still up in the air. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
But
Exactly. Well,
yeah,
and then during the football season, we do the pick'ems, and which is
yeah,
kind of fun. And you got Eric always, right up there at the top. You got Sherwood always up there right at the top. And
I'm never
and
up there. I'm on like
oh
Eric in
no,
basketball,
yeah,
holding down 12.
exactly. And
Me and Belize,
exactly. I was gonna say you and Belize right there. So a little bracket check there. Let's do a little pulse check.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
pulse check. Um, Oregon men's basketball. You live?
Oh yeah,
You live?
yeah. That, you know what? Boy. Hey, listen, we went to that Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
And shout out to 22 from Wisconsin.
Polar.
Ah,
Still
polar
chewing
bear.
them.
But listen, there's you're gonna hear the rumblings, and I mean, I don't get it, right?
Yeah.
With Dana and it's funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day about this, and who who would they get? as a coach with with the ability that Dana has, but it was interesting because, the scuttlebutt is that Dana's inability to accept and grasp and utilize the NIL business, the business aspect of the NIL, and utilize that and the resources that Oregon has to offer. There's, I guess, some, I don't know if there is an absolute like, no, we're not doing this, or just like not wanting to make that next evolution for himself as a coach. And that's where I think maybe next year, if it doesn't work, you start to maybe after this season, he still gets 2 more, I think, regardless. Right. I think regardless, he still gets 2 more seasons. If those just go to whatever and he just absolutely refuses to evolve, then you have to start looking for that next generational coach. That's,
Well, okay. So I have some thoughts and feelings about this. I've been pretty passionate about it for many years. In fact, probably the vast majority of knowing each other, T-Rod.
Yeah.
And, the thing is that,
oh, there you go.
like you can see it in the product that's being produced on the court. You can see it in the demeanor of the players playing. You can see the effort and the drive that is lacking within the program. And I mean, it's fair to ask the question. So, who are they going to replace him with? Who the heck are they going to replace Mario Cristobal with? Who the heck are they going to replace Mario Cristobal with?
True. This is
Here
true.
we are, 5 years into the season, 5 years into Dan Lanning's tenure, and are you questioning that hire? Not at all, not one bit. So ask away, but that's leading from a position of fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
And to not look at this program and say, you know what, like it's time to make a change. It's time to actually give the program what it deserves. Like Ernie Kent, for example, got canned, right? And he had a better season than Dana Altman did this season. All right.
Yeah.
And Ernie Kent, legend, Oregon basketball legend, great coach, great motivator, everything else. He got let go. They brought in Dana. Dana has had a great run, and no shame to that. But like ultimately, like to just accept the product that's being produced, to accept the fact that we're bringing in recruits and they're leaving like within the year, right?
I mean, that's just it.
And you don't see it.
There is no continuity or consistency within the lineup itself.
And that's rampant across all college basketball. But the fact of the matter is you're seeing kids come in and they're whether it be a transfer or a freshman, and they're just not being developed. They're not improving upon the stats that they brought into the program, whether that be the free throw percentage, field goal percentage, rebounds, defense, box out, like all these things that are like once again, I'm a fan, I'm an observer, I love basketball and everything else. But at this point, to accept the product that we're putting on the court, to me, is unacceptable. Like there needs to be something, and that's that's like at this point, he's a lame duck.
What
I mean, he is, right?
Well, and that's just it. I mean, let's look at an example, right? Who just hit the transfer portal after being here for how long? What does that say? First of all, listen, you know how I feel about
Jackson,
the player.
Yep.
Right. As far as on the court.
Yep.
I wish the kid luck. I do. I want him to succeed wherever he goes. But, does that speak a little bit to what you're talking about? Because the one thing that I always picked on him about was to me, in every game I either went to live or watched on TV, he was a horrible defender.
Yep.
And I don't think he got any better through the years that he was here. He was a streaky shooter, His shooting didn't really get any more consistent. He definitely had the ability to light you up for 25 or 30 on any given night, but also had the ability to give you 0.
Yeah.
Right. And that was through all these years.
Yeah.
And so, but where does that, is it the player? Is it the coach?
Yeah.
Is it the system? Is it the school? Right.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to watch if he goes somewhere in a single year.
Yeah.
Because, the other thing is if he does get, when he does go somewhere, what does it look like at the end of that one season for him? Because I only think he has 1 year of eligibility, right? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, technically he hasn't played. He didn't play enough this year with his injury. He could technically redshirt.
So he would have
probably 2 years. And who knows anymore? Chambliss got an extra year. Like the court basically told him that he got an extra year at Ole Miss today.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that kid. But is that an example? Is that something that's right in our face that says there's something to what you're talking about with development and I don't know.
Well, and then you see the core, right? So really kind of like the 2 premier players coming back next year would have been Shelstad and Kwame Evans or KJ, and both of them are gone. You do have a top tier recruit coming in, 5-star coming in that but what are you going to do? Like his track record with those high ranked recruits isn't good.
No, and I mean, how many guys
come and go?
You have Dylan Brooks out there,
right? But
He's
he
out
wasn't
there
a 5-star.
Noise, Chris Boucher, these guys that were doing their thing from 2016, 17 or 17, 8, whatever that was.
Right.
But really, I mean, since then, what? So you know what I mean? So we'll see. But he's got a few more years to go. We'll see if he either.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And every year that he's here, it's a more year that I just build resentment, and the more tarnished that his legacy is in my mind. And I'll just leave it at that.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'll just leave it at that. I understand he has a contract. His buyout is what it is.
I mean, at some point in time, though, it doesn't matter who you bring in. If this is what you can't be willing to accept it. So if you bring in the new guy, and he wins, 10 games in his first year. I mean, really, what do you?
Right. So I listed two head coaches that I would have brought in, who've been on my short list of coaches that I would have interviewed for this job. I'm not Rob Mullins, right? The first guy was Joyner. Blanking on his first name. His wife is the head soccer coach at Oregon. Tracy Joyner's a soccer coach, and it's blanking. But he just got hired by Scott Barnes at Oregon State.
Well, see,
he's the assistant head coach at Michigan.
But see, that's the difference, right?
But
I would put Dana and that's a great point, Eric. I mean, how many former players do we see come back for the basketball program? It's a very interesting question there. But at the same time, it's Scott Barnes, Bruce Pearl, John Calipari, Rick Pitino, for God's sake. I mean, what is it that these guys are? And I would have, and I still would put Dana on a level like that as far as coaching ability goes.
He's done it for 35 years, 36 years. But here's the other guy.
What's the difference? Where's the disconnect?
Let me give you one other guy. Randy Bennett.
Yeah.
Head coach at St. Mary's. Just took the job at Arizona State. So you're telling me these two guys that were literally one guy was an assistant coach under Randy Bennett for 4 or 5 years, Joyner. Then he went to Michigan. He's been at Michigan for the last 2 years. They're a top, they're my pick to win the bracket. Right?
Yeah.
This guy's an assistant coach there. He knows how to develop and get guys to win. Yeah. And he gets hired by the school down the street. And then you have the other guy at St. Mary's that has a pipeline coming out of Australia, right? And just develops and every single year is pushing Gonzaga. Every single year. Well, now they're in the, that whole Gonzaga leaving the conference and that whole thing. Arizona opens up. Randy Bennett jumps after 20 something years at St. Mary's, goes to Arizona State.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that they're the product, the brand, everything else. Those two coaches would have been on my short list of potential hires. If you asked me 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, those are the guys that I've been like, these are the guys that you need to look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and that's just it. I mean, it's
that's what's frustrating for me, man.
The other thing too, man, is it was good to see that Gonzaga did the Gonzaga thing for the NCAA tournament. Of course.
Yeah.
We talk about consistency.
Yeah.
They're always in.
They're always out. Hey, they have a good pull-out method. So
that's it, man.
Yeah, the thing. Yeah, in 26 straight years that they made the tournament or something like that, but they've never won it. So they're bound to hit eventually. Just keep on throwing money in that slot, man. Keep on throwing that money in the slot.
Exactly
it's due.
Right.
It's due, right? Well, let's move on to our last segment tonight, which is the Oregon Spring Game Tailgate, which is on Saturday, April 25th. We'll be there bright and early that morning, cooking up some great food. I'm going to do the chili relleno, build your own burrito. We'll have the bacon, we'll have the sauces, we'll have the cheese, the guacamole, sour cream, salsa, that whole bit. Make yourself a burrito, hang out, have a good time. But not only that, we're actually going to do a live episode of the Oregon Football Tailgate Talk during the actual tailgate, which we've never done before, right? And so I'm looking forward to that, T-Rod. I'm looking forward to grabbing Kyler and putting him in front of the camera and introducing them to the online presence that we have.
Mics or something. We might have to mic up.
Oh, I have a mic, dude. Yeah, I have a mic that I can
right?
pin them on. But I also have that little disc, mic that we use during the regular season. That actually I've used it in conference rooms before, so it works out good in everyone's voice with Zoom and whatnot. So we'll test that out. We'll have some tech issues, I'm sure, guaranteed, based on how this episode's going. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. I'm excited. More to come on that. It's less than a month away.
That's it, man. I mean, it's the weather. The weather is starting to reek of spring ball a little bit.
It is.
I obviously I get a drive by anytime I want to.
Yeah.
Right. Anytime I want to. And I mean, when we talk about recruiting, and I mean, how do you not see, if you know that you're a kid that has at least 3 years that you're going to come here and play, how do you not take a look at what's taking shape out there with the new facility as the roof is going up and the arches of the roof are being installed and resurrected? This new facility is going to look absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so, that part of it, watching that construction, driving by every week or whatever. I mean, I don't drive by every day, but when I have to go to Eugene, I come back that way, back over to Springfield, right? But watching that is also kind of takes the edge off of no football right now. Watching that, because that's a piece going up, and man, as it starts to take shape, it's, if you're a recruit and you're coming here and you're seeing that, and you know that thing's going to be done by your second year here, you're staying. You're staying and watching
Absolutely.
that thing be built and going, I'm going to practice there, and then I'm going to come back. And we're seeing the development. If we want to talk about development, we saw it in the combines, right? I mean, and what these guys were doing, they are combine ready.
Yep.
They're going for their pro day ready. And now they're going to have this facility to continue to grow. I mean, let's go.
Well, and I think that, when you think about, I've seen photos, I've seen videos, the last time I was in town was just over a month, about 6 weeks ago, or in Eugene, and just be able to see how that's coming along. I took my rep over there, just like, hey, let's just drive past it. And then I saw more photos last weekend and photos this week. It's really starting to take shape. And I think by the time fall comes, it's gonna be like, woo,
Oh man.
yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty, and it's gonna be one of those things where, with the pro day, these teams come in, right? And these teams see what's going on, and they're like, like Oregon has something cooking here, man. Like, and it's pretty impressive, and no detail is left. It's just like it's so awesome. And then I think Eric makes a good point. Like going back to the basketball team. Like teams or players coming back and practicing at these facilities. Like it's just going to draw these players back to the program to be home, be in Eugene, and maybe it's their second home, or maybe it's just like, hey, I'm going to spend a month in Eugene and work out in the off season, or do that, and they're going to want to come just to experience that facility and what it has to offer them. And so, I mean, we're talking about practice here, but
I think Connerly, we've seen those. I think Connerly is like the first true example of a Dan Lanning recruit, right? If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. Don't you remember that video when
all
he
of
committed?
his years here was recruited here, developed here, and now he's giving back.
Yep.
Now he's giving back. And so to Eric's point earlier about the players coming back for their programs, and Dan Lanning embraced it. Mario, it was public knowledge that he didn't necessarily embrace that for this program. He obviously does for Miami. I get it. I understand that, but so I mean that part of it, and then this facility to have a home away from home for these guys to come back to year in and year out. I mean, if you don't go home, from here during summer or Christmas or whatever some of these breaks are, and you're here, and some of these guys are just rolling through here because they're going to get some private time to just go and work out, but you can join them. I mean, let's go with that. I mean,
let's go with that. No, I love that. We're talking about practice. We're talking about spring practice here. We're talking about having a tailgate for a practice game. That's how committed we are to the program as fans. That's how committed we are to our fandoms, and we're a bit of a bit of fanatics, and which is awesome. We're not we're not analysts. We're not going to break down film. We're not going to talk about the ins and outs. We're just going to talk about what we're seeing as fans, and more importantly, we love hanging out, having a good tailgate. I love cooking food for others, entertaining, having a good time.
We just might have to throw a tailgate party for the surplus sale too. I mean, that's May. I mean, you know what? We might as well just shoot the tailgate talk from somewhere around the Mashofsky. We'll just set up a stop
go
and
live.
Go.
That's the beauty of learning this, learning this technology, is that and doing this live remotely from, I'm in Bend and T-Rod's in Springfield, and we're doing this remotely. We've had some tech issues, but we're learning the program, or we're learning the software. We can do this. We can shoot the lives. We can. I can just do a little snip of hey, I'm going to do a YouTube short right here and show the food, or a YouTube short. Let's do the post game party or whatever. It's let's get a little take here and there. We can add some content. We're gonna have a good time. Speaking of the next episode, I want to talk to you about that. It's getting kind of like crunch time, and I'm looking at hey, leading up to the spring game in a month. Looking at my schedule, I'm available next Friday, but I'm not available the Friday after, the 10th. So
I think we would be good to go next Friday as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll do. Sure. I mean, I'll double check, but yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do next Friday the 3rd, Friday the 17th, before the week before the spring game. We'll kind of get into the details and nitty gritty.
And then we're there.
The donations, the whole breakdown, what our plan is on the setup, etc. And then we're
here,
live, man.
I mean, and that's interesting. Eric brings up isn't the draft the same weekend as the spring game? But you know what else is the same weekend as the spring game? is the Eugene Marathon.
It is.
And you know why I bring this up, Mark? Because first of all, I want to give a shout out, last shout out before we go of the evening, to another program within the program.
Yeah.
And that's the Oregon men's hockey team. Right there, my man. What do you got? What do you have back there?
That's my Oregon men's hockey.
I want to give a shout out to the Oregon men's hockey team. They donated that jersey autographed by all the players to the Ronald McDonald Heartfelt Guest House here in Eugene, Springfield, as a fundraiser. Mark, as he does, loves to support great causes. Actually bought his tickets, won the jersey via draw, and but I believe we raised over $700 or $800 because of that, just for the Ronald McDonald House, right?
That's awesome.
And so I want to give a shout out to Oregon hockey, for the donation, the jersey, allowing us to raise that money. But if you run the marathon or the half marathon, or you walk the 5K, Ronald McDonald House wants to be your cause to run. And if you can do that, and you do that with Ronald McDonald House, we will have the only way that you can get a number for the marathon, because now all the numbers are gone.
Oh, wow.
They're gone. They are taken. You cannot get one, but you can through the Ronald McDonald House. So I'm on the board over there. Give me a shout out. If you want to run the marathon, you want to run, and have a cause to run for, let the Ronald McDonald House be that cause for you during that Eugene Marathon. We'd love to have that. I'll be over at the Graduate Friday night, working the Ronald McDonald House booth over there, and then back over there on Sunday, and then back over to the tailgate on Sunday to tear down.
Wow.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. It's gonna be a busy weekend.
Well, Friday night. I was thinking about that because it was one of those things where I'm just like, okay, T-Rod's gonna be jumping around. I was like, man, he's doing the marathon that weekend too, and I know that he's so involved with the Ronald McDonald House, which
Friday afternoon,
I was more than glad to buy my raffle tickets to hopefully win this and then pull it off. And I got the opportunity to actually go inside the Ronald McDonald House and meet the crew there. And just what a wonderful experience, and the number of nights that they donate or basically provide a place to stay for these families. It's just so wonderful.
It's a great cause. It's what they do here for those families. One wing is for families that have kiddos in the ICU. The other wing is for families that have older people that are in the hospital for longer stays as well. But I'm going to be over at the Graduate, come straight from the Graduate over to set up, right? Nice. And then we're doing our thing Saturday, and then it's back over to Hayward for the marathon and helping out over there, and then back over to tear down, man. That's gonna be a great weekend. Gonna be a great weekend.
Yeah. Well, and we can talk about that more on the side, but depending on how things go on Saturday too, it's like we may have some little bit of tear down post spring game, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, before we end, we always have to do this, right, T-Rod? This is how we end our show.
Let's go.
Once again, I have to thank everyone for joining in the chat. All those members, like, share, subscribe. This will go live.
Appreciate all of you.
It will go live on our YouTube channel and within our playlist for season 2. Which is season 2 is the off season. Season 3 will be the actual 2026 football season.
Make sure you get the peeps to like and subscribe, right? We want to get to that 100 subscribers by the time.
Yeah, we're sitting right there around 80.
Getting close.
Bump that up.
Let's go.
Anyway, that is T-Rod. I'm Chef Marc, and this is Oregon Football Talk, and go Ducks.
Go Ducks.